At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about what you've done with those accomplishments. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. Denzel Washington. Welcome to Inspire Vision. Our sole purpose is to elevate the lives of others and to inspire you to do the same.
Jenny Mannion, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Dr. Doug. I'm really grateful.
Well, and I'm so excited. Since I moved to Thailand a few months ago, and I'm here for about 6 months, I have found that there's such an interest that has come about self-healing and different ways in which that's occurring outside of the standard medical community. And so I'm really excited about this discussion that we're going to have today because you have such an interesting background and you're approaching things in so many different ways. I'd love for you to share the audience, how did this all come about and what have been your personal experiences? And then we'll kind of move forward from there.
Sure. Yeah, I guess the starting point was I was sick for 7 years. I was told I would be in a wheelchair. There was no hope of me healing, diagnosed with 4 different diseases, and went the traditional medical route, then tried to go to the alternative as to what I knew then, which was acupuncture and chiropractor, and everything would make me feel better for a little while, but nothing would make me heal. And I didn't think healing was possible. The doctor said it was not. There were a couple things that led to me really knowing I could, I hadn't tried this approach before of just changing my mind, mindfulness, and changing my energy. And for 3 weeks, I focused on my thoughts, how I was speaking to myself, which was atrocious. Even though I was sick, I was still beating myself up. And within 3 weeks, all the pain was gone and I was healed. And it was a little while before I went back to doctors because I was, I guess, a little angry, in my ways that, hey, how come no one told me I could do this? And it took me, I went off all medications. It took me about a year to go back to my hematologist to get permission to go off the blood thinner I was on. But even he, after a year, like when I went back, he said, with the way my mind was now, it was more dangerous to be on them to go off of them, and gave me his blessing.
And these were diseases that I'm assuming a lot of people experience. And as you were saying, the doctors were saying there's no cure.
Yeah, it's managing your pain, it's physical therapy, it's a lot of painkillers. And one was fibromyalgia, one was Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, one was chronic mono, and then there was a genetic blood disorder, factor V Leiden, which when they told me I was I think 500 times more likely to get a blood clot. Within a month of them telling me that, I manifested a blood clot and went in my leg and wound up in the hospital for 5 days. So it really is about that power of the mind. I mean, that should have been a tip off maybe to me. Hey, wait a minute, they just told me about it, and here I am in the hospital manifesting something. So after that, I just wanted to kind of shout from the rooftops, hey, we can heal ourselves, and really knew that it was important for me to keep studying, to keep learning more so that I could help more people. And I graduated from Penn State with a degree in psychology. I knew I always wanted to help people. So it really felt like a natural thing to start writing about different modalities of healing. I've always loved writing. I started a blog, and the more I learned, the more it kind of led me on my journey. I learned about energy healing. I got licensed in reconnective healing. That came to me in a synchronistic way. Learned about the Akashic records. I felt like that had a shift for me. So then I wanted to learn that. So as I went on my path, it was just about the things that really touched me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to use that tool to help other people. So probably been licensed in over 15 healing modalities in the last 17 years. Studied shamanism. After my mom passed, that was another big healing for me because she was my biggest fan and one of my closest loved ones. So studied shamanism after that. And it's really been about studying the mind-body connection and energy, and how we can change our energy to create the life that we want. I attracted the love of my life to me. We attracted our home, really changing our energy to focus on what we want and that self-love and self-worth and knowing we deserve that, rather than focusing on how horrible everything is, which is kind of the human way.
Well, and I'd love for you to define mindfulness for the audience, if you could.
Yeah.
What do you mean by mindfulness?
I mean, by being conscious about what you're saying and doing in every moment, because so many times we're reacting, and we're reacting from our past stories, our past hurts. We go into a room, we're like, oh, that person's a jerk. I'm going to put my guard up, and I'm going to be like, just responding. Or we just get in these routines where we're not really paying attention. Our mind could even be somewhere else where we're responding. But if you're mindful, you are doing things consciously. You're like, I'm going to choose to say this. I'm going to choose to do this in this moment. I'm 100% present in what I'm doing. And especially now with phones and all the distractions, to be 100% present in what you're doing.
Well, and you know what I find fascinating, and there's actually now a couple of individuals, one in particular, that's studying this mindfulness and the healing that can come through meditation and mindfulness and so forth.
Yes.
They're showing it clinically, medically,
Mhm.
that they're seeing the results of that from studies of the body, studies of the blood, so on and so forth. So I think for people, it's fascinating. This used to be kind of a woo-woo, type of
Yeah.
thing that people go, no way. And now there's actually medical studies that are showing the value of doing the things that you were talking about. So let's talk a little bit about, from your experience, how do these subconscious triggers, let's just call them those, and when we say subconscious, as you said, they may not even know that they're there. And yet,
Right.
one of the things I wrote a while ago on a presentation was, look at your life and see what you're experiencing. Are you happy with it? Because if you're not, you've got to go back to that subconscious level and find out what are those belief systems that are causing the behavior, that are causing the results. And for
Absolutely.
people to understand that they actually have control of their lives, that they
Yeah.
have control. And whether they're religious or not, if they're religious, then obviously that goes into faith and outside help and so forth, greater powers. But whatever it happens to be, the question is, what are some of the things that occur when we're not dealing with those triggers, those subconscious beliefs that are so deep that we don't even realize it, and yet we're experiencing life in a way that we don't like it?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways that can manifest. It can manifest physically, mentally, emotionally. I love the study of the chakra system, the energy system, because it informs what part of your body, so say we had horrible messages from our parents, that would kind of settle into that root chakra, and we might have leg issues. We might have trouble feeling safe on this planet emotionally. I love going to that, but that's my kind of go-to because I call that the inner diagnostic system. But if
Mhm.
we have these energy is not flowing correctly. It's not being informed correctly. So that there are blockages. Say we've heard from a past partner or a parent or a loved one, we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we're not smart. We are running that in the background. And, even if we do something, a misstep, we might say, oh, I'm so dumb, and we don't recognize the power that that has, because are you counterbalancing that? Are you spending time saying, you know what, I really love myself. I'm doing a pretty good job. Like most people are not doing that. And we know the effects. If we were saying only negative things to a child, if we were saying only negative things to an animal, a pet, what effect that would have on them, but we really don't assess ourselves. Like, how are we speaking to ourselves in our unconscious moments when we're just going about our day? What script are we running? Becoming mindful. There was a quote from the Secret movie that really helped me in changing my thoughts. Was like, I think we're 99.9% new every like 11 months. So where we're spending our energy, putting our focus, informs those cells. So if we're saying, I know when I was sick, that pain was horrible, I was focusing on my legs and saying, I'm so sick, I'm in so much pain, I'm so sad, my legs can't function. And that really wasn't giving my legs any possibility of healing. Whereas when I started to work on my healing, I was putting my hands on my legs and thanking them for the years that I danced, and putting my hands on like my little finger and being like, wow, there's healthy cells here. There's healthy cells in my body. Like, really, when we get mindful and focus on what we want, we can start switching things pretty quickly.
So let's talk about chakras. I guarantee you that the audience that's listening to this, some may be familiar with chakras, some may not be. So you talk about the root chakra. Would you mind kind of explaining your understanding of the chakras and what some of the symptomology may be being affected for people based on which chakra may be blocked or may be having struggles and so forth?
Absolutely. I love this stuff.
And go ahead and start
So,
with the root chakra. Start with the root
So
chakra.
yeah, I mean, and they're the colors of the rainbow. We have hundreds of them, but there are seven main chakras that we hear about all the time. And the root one, as the first one, is really the messages we've gotten here on Earth. Like, what has our community said during this time? Might be a little hard feeling safe walking on this planet. So it's red, it's at the base of the spine, and
Okay.
it's an energy center. So it's like a wheel of energy that is, circulating, and it can become unbalanced. And when it's unbalanced, our body doesn't punish us. It's really like telling us, hey, I'm out of balance. Like, so if you know about the chakras, you can be like, oh, okay, I'm having leg issues. Maybe there's a root belief that I am not, I am facing some confrontation on. And it could be something like, divorce is bad. Oh, and now I'm going through a divorce and that's coming up for me. And suddenly I have leg issues and feet issues. So it is really important to just tap in, and know about them, because it can really inform what's going on in your life. The second one is below your belly button. It's the sacral chakra.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna slow
oh,
you
go
down.
ahead.
I want you to go
Yeah.
back to the root chakra. All right. So
Okay.
based on your experience, and I know different people may
Mm-hmm.
have different approaches on this, but based on your experience, what is some of the symptomology that someone would experience if that root chakra happens to be diminished or closed off? What are some of the symptomology that they would experience so that they can go, okay, you know what, I'm experiencing this. I need to work on the root chakra.
I'm experiencing feet pain. I'm experiencing leg pain, trouble walking, hips. It really is about that base, like, of you feeling safe on the planet, and also that feeling of maybe not feeling safe, maybe, feeling anxiety. I mean, anxiety can come from a lot of the chakras, but like, if you're feeling anxiety and leg issues, it would definitely be the first chakra is a good one to address.
Great. Okay, so let's go to the second chakra now.
Second chakra is orange. It's a little below the belly button. It's the sacral chakra. And this is kind of makes sense. It's all about our reproductive organs, how we see ourselves as a man and a woman, how we create emotions. And so all of these are formed at different kind of years. Those are a little after birth. So you could say, like, how your parents talk to you might be how you start creating your emotions, and how you feel about yourself as a man or a woman, or a boy or a girl. And it can cause infertility issues if that chakra is imbalanced. Which, again, these kind of make sense when you start learning about them. You're like, oh, it's right around where the reproductive organs are. It would make sense. It can cause infertility. It can cause, prostate issues. It can cause issues with those sexual organs. If there was sexual abuse, you could have issues with the sacral chakra. So it really is about bringing that into balance. And again, these are about, like, sending a lot of love to this area. It's not about judging. Anything that we've gone through deserves a whole lot of love to heal, because it's something that we've had to endure. And as humans, we've all had to endure different traumas and different experiences. I don't think anyone's had a totally blessed life their whole life. This is part of being human on this planet. So showing love, what happens is, when something hurts, we usually put our focus, oh, why is that out of balance? We don't give thanks to our body. every day, for functioning, for breathing, for, allowing us to walk, for doing these things. So things do get out of balance. And so it is really just focusing on that. And that I found, you know, that one I've done layers of healing on. And actually that is the root of abundance too. That's like the start of money issues and feeling safe with money.
So let me ask you a question. Sometimes do people, because I've heard different explanations, sometimes do people get the sacral and the root chakra confused because of the location and so forth?
I could see that. I mean, and they're all related. It's not like they definitely feed into each other as well.
Uh-huh.
Like the first through third are the lower, the fifth through seventh are the upper, and the fourth kind of combines them all. They all do feed into each other for sure and
Okay.
inform each other.
All right. So as you talk about abundance, some of those types of things, that's also with the sacral chakra.
Yes. Yes. And
Okay.
that's the start of it, because if you've been brought up saying rich people are bad, money is evil, that kind of stuff, it will really start to inform if you feel safe with money.
Yeah. Okay. Third chakra.
Is the solar plexus. So that is below, kind of between your belly button and your heart, a little,
Okay.
little closer to your heart. And that is yellow. So it's Roy G. Biv going up, colors of the rainbow going up. And that is your power center. So this is really, if it's overactive, you can kind of fight for power, the people that maybe, you know, feel like they have to control everything. And then if it's underactive, you can really feel like you don't have any power. That can also cause anxiety, it can cause digestive issues. It makes sense. Like life is hard to really like swallow and digest when things are, when we get stressed out, we get stomach aches. It makes sense, stress really, we feel out of control. So this is another one, like the lower chakras, especially lately, are pretty hard because, life's been challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah. And then
You
that
know,
one there between the belly button and the heart is called which chakra?
solar plexus. So at
Solar
our solar
plexus.
plexus. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then we move to the next chakra, which is
The heart, my
the
favorite.
heart. Okay.
And so that combines the lower chakras with the upper chakras. So the lower chakras are really about our life here on earth, and the upper ones are really more about our soul and our heavenly, our creative aspects. And so the
Okay.
heart is really in the middle, and it combines them both. And it's self-love, it's love in relationships, it's our heart and our lungs. It's, yeah, are we willing to receive? Are we willing to receive love from other people? So if that's out of balance, it can cause heart issues. It can cause breast cancer. It can cause lung issues, trouble breathing. So, and that kind of makes sense too, because if it's relationships,
Hmm.
it's like your heart is, yeah, broken. Your heart is not working as well. And this is the hard one too, because a lot of people aren't taught to feel that self-love. And that reflects in the relationships. If you feel you are not worthy, you're going to be attracting relationships that prove to you that you're not worthy. So it really is important to embrace that self-love, do the healing work that's needed. Yeah, I know healing's not pretty, I mean, we have to come across some past things that are triggering for sure. But it's so
Right.
much better on the other side if we can be loving to ourselves, non-judgmental, no, whatever coping mechanisms we've had, it's because it satiated us in some way. Like really start to be our best friend. I mean, that really is about the heart chakra too. Like, can you give as much love to yourself as you easily give to someone else, maybe even a stranger in the street, or your pet? Can you start giving yourself that love and be non-judgmental?
Okay. Heart chakra. What's the next one?
Throat.
Throat.
So blue, and that is communication. It's living authentically. It's how we express ourselves. Definitely, yeah, like creation. Are we speaking our truth? Are we, actually, are we hearing other people's truth too? So thyroid issues, I know a lot of like women sometimes have the thyroid issues. Maybe they weren't allowed to speak. growing up. Maybe, their dad or, a man in their life or, someone else. Sometimes it's the mom too, say, you're not allowed to speak and you can have thyroid issues, or a lot of throat aches. So really being able to create is wonderful way to like even out that chakra. We can talk about like some of those things like the root chakra. If you walk on the earth or dance, that's a great way to bring it into balance. The throat chakra, singing, expressing yourself somehow. Maybe you like to draw, maybe you like to paint, writing is another great one. But really to be able to communicate your truth.
Well, and what I find as and I've taught some courses on personalities, and what I find as you talk about speaking your truth, one of the things that I've taught before, and I really understand in my mind to be true, is so often, we have that social personality. It's not our core personality. It's that social personality where we behave the way we think we ought to behave. So people have told us for so long, whether it's parents, peers, teachers, whatever, that this is how you need to be. And therefore, that's how we express ourselves. Is this something that affects that throat chakra when they're not speaking
Oh,
their truth? Okay.
yeah. Feeling safe to be authentic. Do you know who you are even? Like, I mean, I know that's a big thing too, is so many times we fall into the roles of who we are. I'm mom or dad, I'm wife or husband, I'm this personality at work, I'm this to my siblings. Like, but do you know who you are? Who are you under all of that? And I know that was a big part of me being sick is I lost who I was. I was mom, I was
Uh,
wife, I was daughter, I was friend, but who was Jenny, So really as you understand that deeper, you can express that deeper and you attract the people around you that reflect that too. On the spiritual journey, that's been one of the hardest things is people come in and out of your life as well because as you're changing, the people around you will change as well.
yes, yes. Okay, next chakra.
Third eye, probably the most popular chakra because it is, right between a little above, but right between your eyebrows. It is your psychic abilities. And that's not always clairvoyance. I know a lot of people see it as clairvoyance, but it's clear seeing. I look at it as binoculars looking in and out. How do you see the outside world, the truth of it, and how do you see yourself truthfully? And that's a tough one these days, bringing AI too, it is really important to have a balanced sixth chakra so we can discern what is true for us and trust our intuition. Again, a lot of people see this as the third eye, as the big eye there and looking out in clairvoyance, but we can have psychic abilities in so many different ways. Some people hear, that's clairaudience. Some people, feel things, clairsentience. Some people know things, claircognizance. So even like before cell phones, like if the phone would ring and you know who is calling, or even, if your cell phone's there, you know who's calling. You have a feeling you need to call someone and they were really thinking about you. Like we do have these abilities. We're more connected, than maybe we give ourselves credit for. But the more we hone in on this and the more we hone in on our truth of who we are, we can really kind of see the outside world clearer too. And
Okay.
if this is out of balance, we can get headaches and dizziness and earaches. Yeah, just feel out of balance.
Okay, so that's number 6, right?
Yep,
So what's the 7th chakra?
that is the crown
The
chakra.
crown.
So that is about, so this one is indigo and this one is violet. The sixth chakra is indigo and seventh chakra is violet. Some people see it as white too, and that is really about our connection to everything. So I love their food
Uh,
and colors to balance each, but I love this fact about like the crown chakra is like, are you being mindful when you eat? Are you paying attention? Are you just shoveling food in? Here we have fast food and everything. Oh my God, I got 10 minutes. I got to shovel food in. Are you being mindful? Are you like really present with the food that you're eating? It's your connection to the world. Are you connected to nature? Are you connected to other people? Do you feel that connection or do you feel very disconnected? And it can make you feel it causes a lot of the things like the sixth chakra does, like disconnection. But if you are connected, you can really kind of intuit. You can walk in nature and feel that connection. You can be with animals and feel that connection to them a lot clearer. So it's a beautiful one about really being mindful, really being like present. So to tap into that wisdom of the universe. And like I mentioned before, the seventh one is really about, like, the upper ones are about that, like, almost like heavenly, more spiritual side, and the root one is more the earth side. But if you combine them both, it's like connecting that heaven and earth. So like meditations, you'll find will go from the crown to the root chakra, because you're connecting that heaven to earth, like really wanting to bring that in. And you can bring that in kind of to your heart, like recognizing, oh, I am walking on this earth and I am connected there, but I'm also connected to so much more. We're all
Okay.
connected. We all can influence each other.
Now, there are some out there that talk about an eighth chakra, which
Yes.
is above the crown. Can you talk about that?
That is also, that's our more spiritual chakra. And again, so a lot of people won't go there. I've kind of studied the 13, but I think like the 7 are a good one to start with for your body. Like if you're
Uh-huh.
going to start studying your body and being your inner diagnostic system, start with the 7, because they make a lot of sense. But if you want to go out there a little bit, the eighth one is, there's protection there around us too. And yeah, you can go a little more woo-woo into
Okay,
those
okay.
other
All right.
chakras.
We won't go there right now. So let me ask you a question, because obviously you're talking about these. What are the main ways that someone can recognize, number one, okay, what I'm experiencing right now is not working, and identifying which chakra it is that may be closed, or multiple chakras that may be a little bit more closed. How do they go about opening up those chakras? That's question number one. Question number 2 and 3 is, I know that you have literally seen and helped people with sciatica pain, many where actually cancer has
Mhm.
disappeared. Can you share, number one, how does someone go about opening up those chakras? And then number 2, what are those specific experiences that you've observed and been a part of? And how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, I do think it is that love, and getting that information from whatever chakra is out of balance. So as we went through the body parts, they really relate to kind of the body parts, bottom to top. If you know what body parts hurt, you could Google it, or you could just simply like tune in and ask, okay, which chakra is out of balance? Put your hand on each chakra and ask,
Uh,
are you in balance? If you have a pendulum, you could put your pendulum above each, and if it's clockwise, it's in balance, counterclockwise, it's not. There's lots of ways we can check in and see, bring them into balance. I mean, I have like a free course on my site, like self-love through the chakras. It's really about bringing in that love to each chakra, really forgiving whatever is out of balance, coming into a place of non-judgment, coming into a place of love for yourself. For that, sending a lot of love there. As I mentioned, when I was healing, I'd put my hand on my legs and send them love instead of cursing them like I usually was, really like being able to love that part of you, because it's kind of asking for love. I mean, if you think of someone that's hurt, and you'd give them a hug. It's your body really is kind of asking for love and that appreciation. So some of the situations I've had, one of them actually was through an Akasha clearing, that uh, a client had pain, very bad sciatica pain, and could not walk more than a couple of blocks. But after the Akasha clearing, which we found out there was an energetic blockage from their ex, in their
uh,
second chakra, so when that was removed, they had no more sciatica pain, and it's been like 10 years and no more sciatica pain. We're able to walk miles and miles after that. I've seen cancer disappear. There was a mom that had cancer. She was given 2 weeks to live, and there was a lot of guilt that she had faced around decisions she had made for her son. She was a young mom with a son, abusive ex. There was a lot of guilt and shame that, with the Akashic reading and with some healings, like she was able to really release that from her heart. It had started as breast cancer and it had spread. She's been healthy for, I think, almost 10 years now, cancer free for like 7 years. So, I mean,
Wow.
really giving ourselves that permission and love that we need. I mean, our body, again, isn't punishing us. It's saying, hey, pay attention. Something's out of balance here, and in most cases, people can heal. There are some cases where people will not heal. And I feel like, passing on can be the healing sometimes, but most cases, people can heal if they're given the right resources.
Right. And you're talking about the Akashic clearing and so forth, but let's talk about meditation. What
Yeah.
what effect does meditation have? Because that's something that an individual can actually learn
Mhm.
how to do, and if they do it the right way, be very effective. And from the studies that I've read,
Mhm.
that also has the healing capacity of many diseases among emotional, whether it's physical or emotional. So, talk a little bit about your experience with meditation and what your thoughts are about that, and how someone can apply that in their lives.
Yeah, and if say you've located your first chakra, you've had legs and feet issues, putting your hand on your root chakra, maybe one in the front and one on your back, and sending it love. You're thinking of all the ways that your legs have helped you through the years, like really reversing our language about it, but getting very mindful because it is subconscious that we're like, ow, that hurts, ow, that hurts, and all our focus goes there, and we're really not giving those cells time to repair themselves. But at night too, and at night and in the morning, Dr. Doug, are the most important times because our mind is kind of in that subconscious state. So the messages go deeper. So before you go to bed and in the morning, in the shower, I love that time too. Really pay attention to how you're thinking. Are you sending love to yourself, or are you talking about how bad the day was? Getting mindful of what you're saying to yourself before you're going to sleep, putting your hand on your heart, telling yourself you love yourself. You're there for yourself. What do you need, body? I'm sending you love. Oh, my throat hurts. Let me put my hand on my throat. I'm sorry. I know, like, when I get a sore throat, it usually means I'm not speaking my truth about something, or there might be an uncomfortable conversation I need to have. So, letting your body inform you about what it needs. But we have to quiet the mind to do that. We won't do that if we're on our cell phone and our laptop at the same time. It really is about maybe taking a couple deep breaths, getting yourself centered, letting the day go, giving yourself permission to let the day go, asking your body what it needs, sending it unconditional love. I love you, body. Thanks for showing up for me. Like, we never really stop and thank our body that runs, consistently all these programs for us. So really, mindfulness is so helpful because it can start changing our cells. It can start informing us, of our new reality, really. If you do this in every part of your life, if you do this thinking about a difficult person at work, just, oh, they must be going through things too. I love them as a person. Like, think about something you love about that person. There are different ways to change our reality, but it really is not getting caught up in the past triggers and stories, which I know is very easy to do, but even if it's setting an alarm a couple times a day, being like, hey, what was I thinking the last 5 minutes? Where was I? And bringing yourself to the present moment. Where do you want to be? Where do how can you support yourself in this moment? Taking those couple of breaths, slowing yourself down, putting your hands on your heart, and telling yourself something positive, something about what you want to emit. I want to feel love. I'm sending love to myself. I'm sending love to everyone in the world right now. Whatever it is, just to bring yourself to the present moment is very powerful.
Okay, and focusing on that breath, from what I've studied, is really important. Is as you're sitting there, or I happen to do walking meditation, so
I love
I
that.
I accomplish, I'll walk 3.5 miles and meditate, and obviously it's not easy to keep the mind free of everything because other stuff comes in. But at the same time, if someone's meditating, is it that they need to focus? How do they get rid of everything outside of, that keeps coming into their mind? Is it really the focus on their breaths, on their breathing? to where that becomes the main focus. And then if that's the case, you know, you talk about the secret, and I've interviewed different people who've been involved in that particular thing at the root, and talking about the fact that there's some other elements that need to be incorporated for that. So you get to the point of mindfulness, you free yourselves from all of that, and then you start to make those affirmations or whatever you want to call them. I appreciate what you said about the gratitude, because as I've been thinking, as I think about it, as I'm meditating, it's like I'm grateful for, as you said, for instance, I'm grateful that my body is healthy. I'm grateful that my knees feel good. I'm grateful for this. And literally, as you're doing that, you're creating that whole issue and being able to open up, or you're opening up the chakras or whatever that happens to be. So how long should one spend in a meditative state? And obviously it's not like I do, but how long would you say, what's the minimum that someone should spend really focusing on that breath to the point where they get out of their mind, they become truly mindful of themselves? What would you say that is?
Well, it's interesting, Dr. Doug, because I've heard even as little as 17 seconds can start creating changes.
Wow.
So, what a beautiful way to start. Give yourself 17 seconds. And I love, there are so many different techniques. You can imagine yourself putting all your problems in a box and closing the lid, and then being like, okay, now I'm going to focus on my breathing. I'll just intend my breath to slow. There are different breathing techniques. I like the box breathing technique. You breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and hold for 4. That they train Navy SEALs to do that in times of extreme stress. So that has to work, they're training Navy SEALs to do it. So bring yourself to that calm place and then introduce a thought, a mantra. Gratitude is the secret sauce. I swear, if you focus on gratitude, things start to change really quickly. And walking in nature is such a beautiful place, because I'm grateful for the sidewalk or the grass that I'm walking on. I'm grateful for the trees. I'm grateful for the flowers. Like, there are so many things in nature to be grateful for too. But being mindful, we can meditate in almost any moment. We can make our cup of coffee in the morning. I'm grateful for this coffee. I'm so grateful for this yummy creamer I found. I'm grateful for my foamer. Whatever it is, we can meditate during it. Sometimes it's easier for people to do a couple things at a time, to focus on their breathing and say a mantra if they have a busy mind. Then maybe, you're rubbing your hands together and you're also feeling the energy between, you're introducing another element. But it's really about, what is it going to take to get you to be in the present moment? And if you have a thought come in, don't beat yourself up, because we're human and thoughts come in.
Right.
You can either say, do I need to look at this now? No, I don't. I'll hold that, for later, or maybe it's coming to mind because it is something that you need to think about, really being gentle with yourself, because meditation looks different for everybody too.
Well, and sometimes what I found is that third eye kicks in, and all of a sudden you start to gain all sorts of insights that you would never expect to gain, which is fascinating. You know what's fascinating to me, and I think the audience is important for them to hear this, is that what we talk about right now seems to be all woo 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 stuff, but now they're finding that there's actually biochemical changes that occur through the process of meditation that starts to heal the body from different experiences, different diseases, all of those types of things. So it's amazing how something that was so unaccepted years ago now is becoming not only accepted, but now actually validated through research and through medical type of research by a few who are willing to do that. So here's the question. Jenny, how do people find you? Because we're almost out of time here. So how can people find you? Because obviously you have some talents and abilities that what I have found is most people really struggle doing some of this on their own. And to be able to have someone that can help them and to guide them along that path can make such a difference. How do people find you?
They can find me on my website, jennymannion.com, JennyMannion.com. I have a free We're Awakening Self-Love Through the Chakras class there, and love to offer support and love to offer people guidance, because it does help, sometimes to just have someone that's cheering you on, giving you some tools, and I see the best in everyone. I know that, we've all had our challenges and we all deserve a life that's a lot easier usually than our life currently is.
So true. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Dr. Doug.
Well, and the one thing that I realize is there's a few people such as yourself out there that really are making a difference in people's lives, because here you are, a clinical psychologist, right? And yet, or at least you studied psychology, and yet you're moving into an area that is a little bit outside of that process, and yet you're having such an effect on other people's lives. So shout out to you for making a difference in other people's lives. And folks, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to having you join us again soon.